My boyfriend's body odor is so bad that I'm considering breaking up with him. Am I the asshole? His pee-pee smells really bad. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 6 months now. The thing is, he's actually really good looking and he's hot. He's actually got an amazing body. He's an athlete. A few months into us dating, I started noticing that he was smelling a little funky. Especially when I tried to go down there, if you know what I mean. So I just never offered. Then I started noticing that he smelled really bad after every single practice. I'm the type of person that will always tell somebody if they have something in their teeth, or if there's something on your face, I'm gonna let you know. So one day I told him that he kind of stank and that he needed to take a shower. That's when he told me that his coach and his entire team are very superstitious and that they can only shower twice a week. Otherwise, they risk losing the entire season. This means I have to put up with him stinking all the time. Every time I go to kiss him, something stinks. So I basically stopped touching him. And this is making him really angry. I mean, am I a bad girlfriend? Go to part 2. My boyfriend's pee-pee smells bad, he has terrible body odor. Am I the asshole for wanting to break up with him? At this point, I couldn't even bring myself to kiss him, let alone hug him or even do anything else to his body. That meant zero sexy time. So I decided to tell him the truth that I couldn't stand his body odor. I even told him that his pee-pee smelled really, really bad. And that for that reason, I wasn't touching him or even kissing him anymore. Then he told me that I was being an inconsiderate girlfriend because the other girls of the other players on his team didn't care if their boyfriends were stinky. Then this man actually asked me to do the dirty with him. And as soon as we started kissing and trying to go at it, I started gagging at the stink of him. Then he told me that I didn't take his career seriously and he kicked me out of his apartment. Then I actually did feel like I was being the terrible girlfriend. At the same time, how could I be with him when he literally stinks so bad? 2 hours later, he showed up to my apartment, showered, and I couldn't resist myself, and we went at it. 2 days later, he stinks again. He's refusing to take a shower, and I don't know what to do now. 2 nights ago, he wanted to do the dirty, and he started kissing me, but I gagged again. Basically, I had to force myself to do it. He won't stop touching me. What should I do? I hid under my boyfriend's bed for 2 days and tried to poison him. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 months. And when we started dating, I got really jealous. He was my first boyfriend and I just didn't know how to control my feelings. You can say I'm pretty toxic. Part of the reason why I'm so insecure is because my boyfriend is probably one of the most popular guys in school. He's a basketball player and he's about to be drafted. So all the girls are constantly trying to hook up with him. And this drives me insane. Whenever we go out, girls are falling over trying to get to him. A few weeks ago, I heard a rumor that my boyfriend had hooked up with a girl. When I asked him about it, he got really defensive. He got so angry he punched a hole in my wall. And well, this made me start thinking, maybe he was cheating on me. So I basically started stalking him. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks. I'm even skipping class just to go wherever he's going. That's when I decided that I would hide in his room. I even put on a diaper. Part 2 is up. I put on the diaper so that I could hide under my boyfriend's bed without having to get out. Disclaimer is not my story time, was sending me on Instagram. I even took soft food with me so that he wouldn't hear me chewing. I knew he wouldn't be home, so I snuck into his dorm room. That's when I checked his entire room. I went through all of his clothes, even went through all of his dirty laundry just to smell them and make sure he didn't have anything in his pockets. Searched in between the mattresses and I found nothing. At this point, I was just looking for a sign of him having hooked up with somebody. I knew he was going to be coming home soon, so I snuck under the bed. It was pretty hidden underneath there because it's a huge bed. He came in by himself and started changing and went to take a shower. But he took his phone with him into the bathroom, so I didn't have a chance to check it. By the way, he thought that I had gone home to my parents' house, so he wasn't going to be hanging out with me at all. As he was getting ready, he put on cologne, and that's when I knew he was going to go look for another girl. A few hours later, he comes back and I'm still underneath the bed. And guess what? He's with a girl. The same girl I heard the rumor about. They come in there laughing and I can tell that they're clearly drunk. This girl goes to the bathroom and changes into lingerie. And then they started making out on the bed while I'm hiding underneath it. Part 3 is up. As my boyfriend is making out with this girl on his bed, I'm hiding underneath it. Suddenly, she starts talking about how she's so happy they're finally a couple. How she's so happy he got away from me since I was such a crazy ex. Clearly, my boyfriend had been poisoning me against her. That's when I realized I really couldn't blame the girl. My boyfriend had clearly told her that he had broken up with me and that now he was with her. My plan was to initially get out of the bed and surprise them, but instead, I decided to wait. I managed to set up my phone while they were doing it on the bed, and I recorded the entire thing. After they finally finish, she leaves. Boyfriend goes to take a shower, and I finally come out underneath the bed. And I sit on his bed. And the look on this man's face when he comes out of the bathroom, priceless. But the best part is that I was filming the entire thing. At this point, I was still wearing the diapers because I had been under his bed for 2 days. I'm obviously looking rough. Then I tell him that I've been under his bed for the entire 2 days. He started calling me crazy and he tried to kick me out. Then I told him that he needs to break up with the girl and come back with me. If he didn't, I would send the video around to the entire school, including his coach, who is the girl's dad. I got him pretty good. So now he's still my boyfriend, although it's forced, to get back at him somehow. I'll keep you guys updated. Bye! My husband got my best friend pregnant and now is forcing me to raise the child. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. About a year ago, I started getting suspicious that my husband was having an affair. So naturally, I started investigating. I went through his phone when he was asleep, but I didn't find anything. That's when I realized that I needed to start following him. And when I did is when I found out who he was cheating on me with. Turns out, it was my best friend. My best friend had just gotten a divorce with her husband at the time. And she told me that she was trying to have fun with as many men as she possibly could. I just never thought it would occur to her to sleep with my husband. For a full week, I followed my husband and he would see my best friend every single day. Sometimes they would meet up at her house since her husband left her the house. Sometimes they would end up at cheap motels. Of course, I started taking pictures on my iPhone to keep track of everything in case I needed to get a divorce. Come to find out, she was pregnant with twins. Part 2 is my husband got my best friend pregnant and is now forcing me to raise the kids. Disclaimer, is not my story time. After realizing that my husband was cheating on me with my best friend, I confronted him and her together. Pretended I was having a little dinner party and I invited her over. Really did make a nice dinner though. They did not suspect a thing. Comes into the house and gives me a big hug. Right then and there, I hand her my phone so that she could see all of the pictures I took of her and my husband making out outside of motels. Then she looks at my husband and says, "What did you say?" What did you say? He didn't even bother to look me in the face. Handed me back my phone and simply left the house. Then I'm left alone with my husband. Start confronting him and then he tells me that he made a mistake and that he was just bored with our relationship and that he loved me. He manipulated me so much that night that I ended up forgiving him. He promised he would never see my best friend again. And guess what? My bestie kept looking for my husband. One night she came over and told me that she needed to see him. I did not let her into the house and she started yelling. That's when she finally says, "I'm pregnant with twins." Apparently she had been pregnant for 3 months and didn't tell anybody. And my husband was happy about it. That's when he asked me if I would be willing to raise the kids. Part 3 is up. My husband got my best friend pregnant and is now forcing me to raise the kids. Disclaimer, is not my story time. After she told us that she was 3 months pregnant, my husband was so happy. He told her that he would take care of everything and not to worry about the medical bills. As soon as my best friend left our house, my husband turns to me and says, "You and I are gonna raise those kids without her." That's when I said he was crazy. I was not about to raise the kid that he had with my best friend. That's when he said that if I didn't, he would divorce me and marry my best friend. But I do have to say, I am still madly in love with my husband. We've only been together for 3 years. He was my dream man when we got married and he still kind of is my dream man, even though he did cheat on me with my best friend. When he threatened me with that, I said okay. The next 6 months, my best friend moved into our house while she was pregnant. My husband and I served her hand and foot. And in some weird way, my best friend and I became best friends again, even though she was having my husband's babies. Also turns out that she was having twins. During the pregnancy, my husband told her that she could stay to live with us and we could all raise the kids together. To be honest, I didn't mind the idea. My husband's real plan was to try to get rid of her, so that we could move away and she wouldn't be able to find us. But my best friend was looking forward to having her babies. Once she gave birth, my husband decided to bring her back to our house with the babies. Exactly a week later, he kicked her out of our house. And he offered her $50,000 to give the babies to us. And she agreed. So now I'm stuck raising the twins by myself. My husband is always away for work. My best friend never even comes around to look at her kids. My husband told me that he doesn't think we should have our own kids. He also promised he wouldn't cheat again, but I don't know what to believe. What should I do? Story time about how I hooked up with a police officer who arrested me and now I think he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm just a little bit of a party girl. I'm always getting myself into trouble and somehow I've never gotten arrested until last week. My friends and I constantly go out and get super drunk. Fortunately, when I get drunk, I tend to get a little bit aggressive. So if you're like me, do not drink. My friend group consists of 5 girls including me. 3 of them are super chill and funny when they get drunk. The other 2 turn into raging bitches when we get drunk. So half of the group is always trying to fight somebody and the other half is trying to calm the situation. So I'm the one that's always trying to start a fight. All of this went down last week. My friends and I are all standing at the bar and this one girl behind me starts pushing her way through. She is literally pushing me and my 2 other friends out of the way. So of course, I instantly flew into a rage because I'm already drunk. Without saying anything, I push the girl and she falls on her ass. Her friends come at me, start punching me and pulling my hair. So I started kicking them with my boots. Before I knew it, it was a huge fight between 5 people. Long story short, the police comes and they try to arrest us. Well, the cop that arrested me was really hot. So I flirted with him the whole time. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I hooked up with a police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. That's when the super hot officer starts arresting me. So I decided to start flirting with him. I mean, why not? He put me in his police car and he started driving me to the station. On the way, I started asking him if he was single. And he actually flirted back. We actually had a pretty good conversation even though I was drunk. Spent 4 hours in the police station and they ended up calling my brother to get me out. Guess what I did? I told my brother to leave me at the police station because I was going to try to hook up with the police officer. My brother got so mad at me. He called me stupid and he left. That's when I went back into the police station and I started flirting with the police officer again. At this point, it was 5 in the morning and I was really hungry. So I asked him to take me out to breakfast and he did. We went to a cute diner. It was like a freaking movie. And then afterwards, we hooked up in his car. He did everything you could possibly imagine in his car. Here's the thing. My plan was to never see this man again. He took me home and he asked me for my number. I politely declined. Later that day, I go to class because, by the way, I'm in college. I actually saw this man driving by. So I wasn't sure, but then I realized it was him. Later on that night, I'm home and I'm about to take a shower. There's a knock on my door and I go open it. Guess who it is? Part 3 is Storytime about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Claim is now my story time. I sent me on Instagram. Hear the knock on the door and I go to open it. And it's the police officer. Mind you, I'm in a towel about to take a shower. When I opened the door, I didn't say anything. Just staring at him like, what do you want? And he said, can I come in? And I said no. He came in anyway. He sat down on the couch and just stared at me. Then he asked me why I hooked up with him if my intention was not to ever see him again. I told him that I was simply just trying to have fun with him and that was it. Then he talked for 10 minutes about how he and I would make a great couple and how much in common we have. That alone was a huge red flag. He met me when I was drunk fighting with people at a bar. I mean, how could he want a relationship with me? And he said something that sent chills down my spine. He said, you look great in baby blue. I instantly realized that I was wearing baby blue underwear. He was watching me minutes before while I was getting undressed to take a shower. He tried to kiss me, but I pulled away. I told him that if he followed me again, I would report him. He laughed and said, you think that's gonna work? And he begged to take me out on a date. I said yes to going on a date because I feared that he was gonna try to R-word me. I'm going on a date with him in a few days. What should I do? How do I prepare for this? I need to somehow make him hate me. What should I do?